There is a dog that once stood face to face with predators most animals would never dare challenge in the wild. And yet today, that same dog can be found quietly watching over families in calm, everyday home environments. The Rhodesian Ridgeback is not just physically powerful, it is mentally composed in a way most breeds are not. And that difference in mindset is exactly what makes this dog so unique compared to other protectors. This breed was never built to panic or react emotionally under pressure in dangerous situations. It was built to observe carefully, assess what is happening, and act only when absolutely necessary. Long before it became a companion, the Ridgeback lived and worked in the harsh and unpredictable landscapes of southern Africa. Its role was not to attack predators directly, but to track them, confront them, and hold them at a controlled distance. Imagine a dog standing its ground against a lion without rushing forward or backing away in fear. Not reacting emotionally, not losing control, just holding position with complete awareness of the situation. That single moment tells you everything about how this dog thinks and processes the world around it. It does not act out of fear or impulse, it acts based on clarity and control in the moment. And that exact mindset still exists in the breed today, even inside a modern home environment. When a Ridgeback notices something unfamiliar, it does not react immediately like many other dogs would. Instead, it pauses and studies what is happening before deciding whether any action is needed at all. When it senses tension or uncertainty, it does not explode with energy, it becomes still and focused. This is where many owners begin to misunderstand this breed and its natural behavior patterns. They expect fast reactions, excitement, or obvious responses, but what they get is quiet decision-making. And without understanding this, that calm behavior can sometimes feel confusing or even unpredictable. But in reality, it is one of the most consistent and reliable behavioral patterns a dog can have. The Ridgeback is incredibly predictable once you understand how it processes its environment and situations. It follows a clear internal logic that rarely changes, even when circumstances around it shift. This breed was shaped by a very specific job that demanded both courage and control at the same time. It had to be brave enough to face danger, but disciplined enough not to make reckless decisions. Because one wrong reaction in the wild was not just a mistake, it could have serious consequences. So over generations, this dog developed something extremely rare, which is controlled courage. Not aggression, not fearlessness without thought, but calm strength even when under intense pressure. And this exact trait is what carries forward into how the dog behaves in a family environment today. A Ridgeback does not protect through constant barking or reacting to every small movement it notices. It protects through awareness, observation, and understanding what truly matters in its surroundings. It watches quietly, tracks changes in the environment, and notices details long before most people do. And when something feels wrong or out of place, that is when it decides whether to step in. But here is what surprises most people when they first experience this breed in real life. That same dog capable of confronting predators can be incredibly calm and gentle with its family. Especially around children, where it often shows a quiet, controlled presence instead of excitement. It does not switch personalities, it simply applies the same mindset in a different environment. Control becomes calmness, awareness becomes patience, and strength becomes quiet stability. Instead of reacting to everything, it learns what matters and what can safely be ignored. This is why Ridgebacks sometimes appear distant or uninterested when compared to other breeds. But they are not disconnected at all, they are constantly observing and processing information. They do not need constant interaction or stimulation to feel secure in their environment. What they need is clarity, consistency, and a stable structure around them every day. When that clarity exists, they become incredibly balanced and reliable companions over time. But when it is missing, this is where problems can slowly begin to develop. Because this is not a breed that thrives in confusion, inconsistency, or unclear expectations. If rules change frequently or the environment feels unpredictable, the dog begins making its own decisions. And that is exactly where many owners get caught off guard by unexpected behavior. Not because the dog is aggressive, but because it has stepped into a leadership gap. This is why understanding the breed is far more important than trying to control every action. The Ridgeback does not need constant correction, it needs consistency in how the environment is presented. It needs to clearly understand what matters, what does not, and what is expected of it. And once that clarity is established, everything about its behavior becomes easier to manage. This is also why early exposure to different environments plays such an important role. Not to force friendliness, but to help the dog learn how to correctly read new situations. Because this breed is naturally cautious, and that caution can either become confidence or uncertainty. When guided correctly, that instinct turns into calm awareness instead of hesitation or fear. Another trait that is often misunderstood is the independence that this breed naturally shows. The Ridgeback is not a dog that constantly seeks approval or checks in for direction. It does not rely on constant feedback, and it does not need to be told what to do every moment. And for many owners, this can feel like stubbornness or lack of responsiveness. But in reality, it is decision-making based on how the dog was originally bred to function. This breed was designed to operate without constant human input in demanding environments. So instead of trying to control every moment, the goal becomes guiding how decisions are made. Because once the Ridgeback understands its environment, it becomes incredibly steady and reliable. It does not overreact, it does not create unnecessary chaos, and it rarely loses control. It stays balanced, aware, and ready to respond only when something truly requires action. And that is what makes it such a unique and powerful protector in a modern family setting. Not loud, not reactive, not unpredictable, but calm, aware, and present when it matters most. Because when you look at this breed, you are not just seeing a dog standing in front of you. You are seeing generations of behavior shaped by survival, pressure, and controlled decision-making. Every movement, every pause, and every reaction has a reason behind it. And once you understand that, everything about the dog begins to make sense. Because the same dog that once stood against predators in the wild is now standing quietly beside you. Not because it has changed, but because it understands when action is truly necessary. And that is where the real strength of this breed has always been. There is another moment where this breed reveals something most people don't expect at all. It is not when things are calm, but when something suddenly changes in the environment. A noise, a movement, or a shift in energy can instantly get the Ridgeback's attention. But instead of reacting immediately, it pauses and locks onto the situation with complete focus. This pause is often misunderstood by owners who expect a faster or more obvious response. But this is actually the dog processing information before deciding whether action is necessary. It is not hesitation, and it is not confusion in that moment. It is controlled evaluation, which is one of the defining traits of this breed. Many dogs react first and process later when something unexpected happens around them. The Ridgeback does the opposite, and that is what makes it so different. It processes first, decides second, and only acts if the situation truly requires it. And that decision is often far more measured than what most owners expect to see. This is also why the breed does not constantly seek validation or reassurance from people. It trusts its own ability to read the environment and respond accordingly when needed. And that independence can sometimes feel like distance to someone unfamiliar with the breed. But in reality, it is confidence, not detachment from the situation. The dog is not ignoring you or disconnecting from what is happening around it. It is simply not reacting unnecessarily to things that do not require action. This is where many owners accidentally create tension without realizing what they are doing. They try to push interaction, reaction, or engagement when the dog is already settled and aware. But for the Ridgeback, unnecessary pressure can feel like disruption rather than guidance. Because it is already operating in a calm and controlled state of awareness. When that state is interrupted too often, the dog may begin to lose clarity in its responses. And that is when behavior can start to feel inconsistent or unpredictable to the owner. But the inconsistency is not coming from the dog itself in that situation. It is coming from a lack of alignment between how the dog processes and how the owner responds. Once that alignment is restored, everything becomes noticeably smoother and more stable again. The dog returns to its natural rhythm of observing, processing, and responding with control. And this is the point where many owners begin to truly understand the breed for the first time. Not as a reactive protector, but as a composed and thinking presence in their environment. Because the Ridgeback is not trying to dominate, impress, or constantly engage with everything. It is simply trying to maintain balance in the space it exists within every day. And when that balance is respected, the dog becomes exactly what it was always designed to be. A calm, aware, and quietly powerful companion that acts only when it truly matters.